Welcome back to Trail Tales. If you're watching this, you're probably planning a trip to Cape Breton. In this video, we're going to show you 3 great hikes you can't miss if you're planning a trip to this picturesque national park. These are all family-friendly hikes, ranging between 1 and 2 hours in length. The first hike is the Skyline Trail, located on the northwest corner of the Cabot Trail. The second is Broad Cove Mountain, and the third is Middlehead Trail, and both are located in the southeast at what is typically the start of the Cabot Trail for most visitors. We picked these 3 because they're either iconic or because the reward they offer far exceeds the effort they demand. We'll start off with perhaps the most iconic hike of this beautiful Canadian province, the Skyline Trail. If you've researched Cape Breton even a little, the chances are you've probably already heard about it. It seems to be the poster child for hikes in Cape Breton, and it is extremely popular. If you're planning to do this hike in peak season, be warned that it may be at capacity when you arrive. We were aware it was popular, but we were not prepared for quite how popular it is. The park service limit the number of visitors on the trail to preserve the experience, and also because the car park fills up. We were visiting in August, and we showed up around 2:30 p.m. We were turned away by a park ranger with no guidance on when a spot might free up for us. So we went away to get some food, and when we came back at 4 p.m, there was a spot for us to start the hike. We were warned at the trailhead that there are frequently moose wandering through the park, so we all kept a keen eye open for them, half hoping we'd catch a glimpse of these rare creatures, but also half hoping that we didn't encounter one. While they are majestic, they are also enormous and can be aggressive when they are with a calf. The trail is pretty flat for most of the way. Much of the hike accommodates strollers and even wheelchairs, so everyone can enjoy the view. The lush and verdant forest is quite striking and very peaceful to walk through. Despite the full car park, we didn't feel overwhelmed by other visitors on the trail. On the contrary, it felt quite quiet. Every now and then we'd come upon a look-off, cut out of the tree line, granting us a glimpse out over the gorgeous valley. Despite the forest feeling rather thick, with ferns and fir trees creating a cocoon around us, the bright blue sky still felt enormous, with nothing overhead except the thin scattering of clouds. There are some fenced areas, cordoned off from the moose to protect new tree growth. Before long, the trail had shifted from gravel to a well-maintained boardwalk raised above the ground to protect it from the countless visitors. Each look-off we encountered gave an increasingly spectacular view over the valley below us, and you can see from our smiles how it made us feel. And finally, we arrived at the iconic scene. The trees vanished, and we were left looking out down the Cape Breton coastline, all the way to Chetty Camp. For those looking to explore further, there is a staircase that leads further down the hillside, although we found the view didn't improve as we descended. We didn't go all the way down to the bottom, as we had to get back to Bedeck in time for a ceilidh, and we proceeded to quickly march back towards the car once we all felt we'd taken in the view from the top. As we were moving quickly, we did the 6.5 kilometer out and back trail in 1 hour and 15 minutes. There are, however, a great many other offshoots and loops available from the same trailhead which cater to a wide range of interests and fitness levels. For us, the elevation gain was only 150 meters, but as I mentioned, we didn't go all the way to the bottom of the staircase. Next up is a short out and back hike you can add into your day driving the Cabot Trail. We picked this trail because the view from the top is so spectacular and really gives you a sense of the scale and remote wilderness of the national park. The trailhead for Broad Cove Mountain is just a few minutes drive north of Ingonish, and there were only a couple of other cars parked there when we arrived. The trail is not quite as well maintained as the Skyline Trail, but it is never ambiguous. It climbs quite steeply up through the forest, gaining 150 meters in just 1.2 kilometers. While not as accessible as the Skyline Trail, it is a lot more peaceful. We saw only a couple of other hikers for the hour we were there. It's worth wearing footwear with good ankle support for this hike. Despite the many stairs, there are plenty of sections with uneven path filled with stones and knotted roots. And even in the height of summer, there are still some muddy sections too. About halfway up, there is a clearing in the trees, giving you a taste of the view that awaits you at the summit. Along the way, we noticed that we were not alone. We were in fact sharing the trail with local wildlife. So keep an eye out beneath your feet and make sure you don't step on anything. As I mentioned, this is a short hike, so it wasn't too long before we crested the summit, where a Muskoka chair was waiting for us to sit in, relax, and enjoy the stunning vista. From this vantage point, you can look out over the peninsula on which the Celtic Lodge Hotel sits. And behind it, a large cliff located in the adjacent Smoky Point Provincial Park. For me, this view is incredible. Only the thin ribbon of asphalt gives any indication of civilization. It's just you, your friends, and the beautiful tree-lined landscape. And to think it's only a 30-minute walk from the car park to get here. For such a short hike, this view is well worth it. We planned this hike at the start of our day of driving around the Cabot Trail. Since it's so short, it's very easy to fit in, whatever your plans may be. Overall, this is an easy hike, only 2.5 kilometers, 1 hour round trip, and 150 meters of elevation gain. Just make sure that you wear the right footwear to avoid rolling your ankle. Our next hike is just a couple of miles away, on the peninsula we were looking out at just a moment ago. The Middlehead Trail begins just a stone's throw from the Celtic Lodge Hotel. We recommend this trail because it takes you way out to the tip of the peninsula, and you can marvel at the striking cliffs of Breton National Park and Smoky Point Provincial Park. For us, it was a great hike to do at the end of a long day exploring the Cabot Trail. A quick note, coyotes are known to prowl this area. However, they typically avoid humans and attacks are extremely rare. The trail passes through thick forest and many clearings like this one, affording wonderful views out over the bay. The cool breeze from the Atlantic battles with the warmth of the late afternoon sun shining through the gaps in the trees. There's a fork near the start of the trail which forms a loop. However, this loop was closed for maintenance when we visited, but that didn't stop us from enjoying the other part of the trail. In the early evening light, the shadows cast by features in the cliffs made every lookout like this look absolutely magical. Other lookouts were hidden by trees, granting incredible reveals whenever we found them. Despite its proximity to the hotel and all of the cars in the parking lot, we didn't see too many other hikers on the trail. The trail is well maintained in parts and not so well in others. Be sure to keep an eye open for roots and rocks under your feet, but this is by no means a challenging trail. I would recommend starting this trail in the late afternoon. The setting sun shines through the trees, casting long shadows which play on the knots of roots all over the forest floor. This really added to what was already a terrific trail. Finally, rounding the last bend, we reached the tip of the peninsula and we were face to face with the Atlantic Ocean. Heading due east, the next land is the west coast of France, some 4,300 kilometers away. Just crossed over to the western side. The wind has picked up, but we can see the sun setting. It's absolutely stunning. It's very peaceful. It's just us, the wind, and the seagulls. At times this doesn't really look like a trail. It is well enough maintained until this part of the loop. But right now we're just walking kind of through a piece of forest. There are a few footsteps here and there, but honestly, it's not that well marked. And because we're so close to the sea, you can hear the waves gently lapping at the rocks. It's so peaceful, so quiet, and we're so far away from anything. At least that's what it feels like. And we're only 1.5 kilometers from our hotel. It tells you how special this hike is. Thankfully the trail is marked by these, so we know we're on the right track.
I'd rate this a solid hike for the average person, especially a person who's had all of 3 hikes this year. Great breeze, great views, not too sunny. It got a little uphill at the end, which could be kind of annoying on the way back, but that's an easy price to pay. It got a little scary, I won't go lie. The trail gets not as wide and you get a little closer to the cliff than I think you would want to be for a not adventurous person like myself.
But it was really enjoyable. The views just like throughout the whole thing, the water, the ocean.
Good,
Yeah.
Great hike. 5 out of 5 stars. Good job, Cape Breton.
So there you have it, 3 great hikes to add to your Cape Breton itinerary. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed any of the hikes mentioned in this video, please let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more hiking guides like this, please consider subscribing.